A lot of women really feel like they're failing at wellness, when really, the system they've been trying to follow was never built for real life in the first place. Hi, welcome to Let's Talk Ladies Lifestyle with Laura. This is your host, Coach Laura. So happy to be here today. This is episode 2 of Let's Talk Ladies Lifestyle with Laura. I'm your host, Coach Laura. Today we're going to be talking about GLP-1s and GIPs, so your weight loss medications. And I might have a bit of a hot take here, but they just are not as magical as they are portrayed. And treating them like they are, I've just seen it's costing women their long-term mental and physical health. And there's just this growing belief out in society that these drugs are some kind of magical cure and that you can just take the shot and be done with it. If something sounds too good to be true, it's most likely because it's too good to be true, and that you can just take this medication, change nothing else, and be set. And that's just unfortunately not the case because that's would be too easy. And if that was the case, everyone would be on one of these drugs. And I mean, mostly everyone is on these drugs, but I digress. Any tool that works this powerfully deserves more education, not less. So when this drug is being pushed the way that it is and marketed the way that it is to people that it really shouldn't be pushed or marketed towards, it hits dangerous territory because this is actually medication that we're talking about here. These do actual things to your body. And if you are not someone that has precursors of prediabetes, diabetes, anything along those lines, or any other condition, we'll get into it a little bit later, but it's genuinely not healthy for you to use this drug long term. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick little crash course on GLP-1s and GIPs. Disclaimer, I am not an MD. I am not a medical professional. I am not a dietitian. I am a nutrition specialist, therefore out of my scope of practice to diagnose or tell you to take anything or not to take anything. This is simply just advice that I want to give to the general public. So what are GLP-1s and GIPs? So those are your two main weight loss medications that have hit the market so far and have been approved to hit the market so far. So GLP-1s and GIPs work by improving your insulin signaling and reducing your glucagon. So those are your two main things that are involved with lowering and raising the blood sugar levels. So this is what's involved with your blood sugar. Insulin lowers the blood sugar, helps glucose move through into the cells effectively. Glucagon raises the blood sugar, signals to the liver to release that stored glucose. So the process would be you eat something, raises that blood sugar, tells the liver to release the stored glucose, then your insulin helps to move the glucose through the cells. If you're insulin resistant or low insulin, this is an issue. And this is why it is a very good drug for people that are diabetic. So it helps to improve insulin signaling while reducing your glucagon. That's what these drugs help do. And they also turn down the hunger hormones in the process. So your hunger hormones are ghrelin and leptin. Those are your main two that kind of focus on when you should eat and when you should not eat. So leptin is your satiety hormone, and that signals to the body when it's full. And ghrelin is the hunger hormone, and that signals to the body when it needs to eat. So these are two different hormones as well that directly relate to the use of GLP-1s. So what is the difference between GLP-1s and GIPs? So just for reference, your GLP-1s on the market are Ozempic and Wegovy. Ozempic is a diabetes medication that was also approved for weight loss, and Wegovy was created strictly for weight loss. Those are your GLP-1s. Now, there are no drugs on the market, I believe, that are strictly GIPs. You have your tirzepatides. Tirzepatides are your combination of a GLP-1 and a GIP. So those on the market are Mounjaro and Zepbound. So Mounjaro has been approved for your type 2 diabetes, and Zepbound was approved for chronic weight management. GLP-1 is predominantly potent for reducing your appetite and slowing gastric emptying. Conversely, GIPs directly affect the fat metabolism, and they are just less effective in general on its own in diabetes. So modernly, high effective weight loss drugs like your tirzepatides, they're dual GIP GLP-1s, and those combine that appetite suppression of a GLP-1 with the metabolic benefits of a GIP. So that seems to be, I guess, the secret sauce, if you will, lately has been a tirzepatide, has been the ones that a lot of people have been taking to get that rapid weight loss. So now that we kind of got all the sciencey jargon and kind of how these work and why they're used for what they're used for, now we're going to talk about kind of what these drugs do and what they don't do. So what they do is they do reduce appetite. They help signal fullness to the brain. They slow the digestion so you stay full longer, reduce appetite and food noise in the head, and they just overall help control your blood sugar by increasing insulin when you eat, helping to move that glucose through more effectively. So what they do not, and this up until now, everything sounded all fine, well, and dandy, right? Well, what they don't teach you is what do you do after you lose the weight? You use the medication, you lose the weight. To effectively keep this weight off, what do? You either have to stay on the medication or something is going to have to change. Hopefully, whilst taking the medication, you began to change lifestyle, you began to change mentality, you began to change all of those things. Because if not, when that drug is done and everything's done and you get off of it, a lot of people develop an attachment to it because it's kind of like a safe space, not in an addiction standpoint as far as like actual drug addiction. It's more of like a safety blanket for people. And I mean, I've heard so many amazing stories of people how it's helped them mentally and their food noise and finally being able to stop eating. And I get it. I totally do. I totally get it. And I totally agree that it does help phenomenally. It just needs to be used in the proper way. And that is where I feel like there's a disconnect. There's not, people are really just using it willy nilly like it's Advil and it's prescribed to anyone and everyone. You don't even have to see a doctor in person. A lot of these websites and ads that I even get on as a nutrition specialist, I get all these ads for all these crazy companies that just say, oh, no money, and you can just talk to someone over the phone and they'll prescribe it to you, like not even meeting you, not even knowing anything about your medical history. It's scary. And like these are literal medications that we're playing around with. It's dangerous. And I think we're letting that kind of skate by because, oh, well, look at everything good that it's doing. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not, but there is a huge population, a societal population, especially in the public eye, that is abusing these drugs heavily. And then the biggest problem that I feel like is like the biggest issue that I have seen is truly people using this medication and then not sharing it. And I had talked about this in the first episode at some point, I believe, briefly, but it's so common. And I know people personally that have done it. I know people just on social media that have done it. And then it comes out later that they took these medications. And there's nothing wrong with if you want to take the medication, fine, but own up to it. Be honest. Be upfront with your audience. They deserve that much. It's just, it sets unrealistic expectations. Now, these people don't understand why they can't reach these results that you're reaching by just exercising and eating and taking these green supplements and yada yada yada. It's a load of shit, honestly. It's ridiculous, and it's something that I'm extremely passionate about because it's so dangerous to the mentality of a lot of women and younger girls especially. Went off on a tangent a bit there. Sorry about that. But we are going to talk about that a bit more in depth in a bit. So what we were talking about is what these drugs do not do, which is technically that they don't teach you nourishment, they don't help you regulate your stress, repair any metabolic damage. They're not helping you in any other way but scientifically. There's a lot of work that you still have to do intrinsically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that tells if you're going to have long-term success. Because once these drugs drop off, what do you do? And that's where I see a lot of women struggling right now. They get on the drug, they get off, and they don't know what the hell to do. A lot of them aren't working out, a lot of them aren't keeping themselves fit, and so this drug also affects your bone density, which we will get into. So if you're not exercising, you're not keeping up with at least like physical movement and things like that. And if you're someone that's older, if you're someone that's older, 50, 60 plus, you're already losing bone density just naturally by age. And then you're adding on a medication that intensifies that rapidly intensifies that. You need to be on a specific exercise and diet plan to be sure that you're nourishing, and supplement plan to be sure that you're nourishing your body with enough of the nutrients that you need, because you're going to need even more than the average person of certain things when you are on these medications. And I feel like none of this is ever portrayed to people. It's never relayed to them. Or if it is, they're choosing to just completely ignore it. It's something that it's dangerous. So because if this drug is doing all of the work, how is your body ever going to learn to maintain that result? It's not. If you're never giving your body time to learn to maintain this, I mean, how is it ever going to? The magic cure narrative. This is something that I had noted down whilst doing research for this episode that I just have noticed in my own life. And it's sad, but it's very common. I think it's something that needs to be talked about because the messaging behind these drugs and this medication is alarming. And I do see Ozempic and these companies trying now, I guess, to try to like be quote unquote better, but there's just it's run itself rampant as far as a market goes, and weight loss drugs and medications and shots. There are clinics popping up on every corner. Everyone and their mother is getting trained to do it. Every physical therapy office, wellness clinic, all of them, they're all like, "Oh, well now we offer wellness shots," and they're just GLP-1s. And they're just being marketed in different ways, and now they're trying to. I saw a commercial for a pill version of something. I didn't even look into that. And it's just a constant state of topic. It's especially as a nutrition professional, I get a lot of questions about it, a lot of people asking me things about it, asking, "Oh, should I go on it? Should I do it?" And I'm also not a medical professional. So this is what I tell them. I'm not a medical professional. I can't tell you whether to do something or to not to do something, because that should be on your physician or your primary care, whoever it is that is in charge of you medically. It shouldn't be something that I give, you should take this medication, you should not take this medication. The messaging of this just really implies that, oh, take the shot, nothing else needed, just eat less. You'll just eat less, but eat absolutely whatever you want, whenever you want, 24/7. Like, no paying attention to the nutrients in your food. My whole message is eat what you want. So don't get it twisted. I want you to eat what you want, but it shouldn't just be whatever you want, whenever you want, especially if you are on a medication like this. You need to be extremely mindful of the nutrients that you are providing yourself with. And if you're not, there's a lot of other health complications that are coming after this. So we're shrinking people's bodies without teaching them how to sustainably live in them. And it's one of the biggest issues I'm seeing right now. The weight loss happens, it happens very quickly, but there are a lot of things in that quick period of time that get overlooked. And a lot of the times it's nutrition and your muscle. And because the appetite is so suppressed, which in some cases, and for some people, is a really good thing, and it is the goal. But for some people that aren't necessarily supposed to be taking this drug, obviously on it, you are eating far less than what your body necessarily needs on a regular day because of the suppression. And that is the positive thing about its use in obesity and people with chronic weight gain. It's a great jump start. It's a great, great jump start for a lot of people when it is used as that and it's gone on as that mindset, not as an end all be all cure to everything and anything. There's still a lot of work that you personally have to do in order to be successful and keep this maintenance. A lot of the times, protein is the big thing that all of us struggle with in general. I struggle with it. Most women struggle with it, getting that protein intake. That's why the trend right now with all of these food companies and just everything in general is about protein, high protein recipes, high protein Pop Tarts, high protein waffles, high protein syrups, high everything. I mean, it's everything under the sun. Every company, every store, every restaurant jumping on the trend. So it's obviously something that there's always like a yearly trend, as we like to joke as nutrition professionals, that there's always some kind of yearly trend that comes around that people are really, really focused on. This year, for whatever reason, for the past 6 months into this year, it's been protein. So it is protein. It's the one that people struggle with the most. So when you're eating less, you're already eating less protein probably to begin with, and then you're eating even less protein than that. So the scale might be going down, but especially if you were someone that didn't really have much weight to lose to begin with, I've seen people use it just to lose like 10 pounds. And it's not like they necessarily needed to lose weight for any kind of health reason. They just can, and it's there, and it's easy, and it's just so common, unfortunately. But the scale's going down, and what they're losing isn't always just fat, because at the rapid rate that you lose weight on this medication, they might not necessarily have enough fat to lose, so it's gonna start pulling at muscle. And muscle is, like, what really matters. It's what keeps your metabolism healthy. It gives your body the shape, the strength, and energy, and without it, you're gonna experience so much fatigue, you're gonna experience feeling weak, and it's gonna be frustrating. We're seeing things like hair thinning, constant fatigue, dizziness, and people thinking that, "Oh, well, I'm just getting off of a drug. This is just part of the process." But it's not supposed to be, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. Yeah, of course, there's side effects from all medications, and everybody's different. But weight loss without proper nourishment isn't health. It's not being healthy, and these people that are acting like it is the dangerous part of all of this. And when your muscle and your nutrients and your nutrition aren't protected during weight loss, it makes maintenance later so much harder, because the only thing that was necessarily keeping you sustained and at the weight now that you want to be at was this drug. So if you weren't changing any of your lifestyle habits, you weren't keeping your muscles strong, getting off of this drug, weaning off of this drug is going to feel like hell, quite frankly, because it's all that your body has now known, because you have neglected every other aspect of it. And I know this might say, well, this isn't me. And they might not be, and that's great, but it's just something that a lot of us are kind of pushing under the rug, but unfortunately a ton of people are doing. And they love the physique that the drug gave them, but no one's teaching them how to actually keep it. And weight loss doesn't necessarily equal knowing how to maintain. Maintenance is the big thing here. Maintenance is the big struggle here. It's not something that we can find in a drug. That's a skill. It doesn't teach you how to eat at a maintenance level. It doesn't teach you how to manage those hunger cues again. Once that drug stops, everything comes flooding back. So emotions and that stress around food, it comes back. And if you're not prepared for it, you're going to just kind of bounce right back to square one. If you're not being mindful and you're not getting ahead of it, you're not able to regulate emotionally without the appetite suppression, because you were so used to it just naturally being suppressed that now you don't have to necessarily think about it. And I know to a lot of people that sounds like, well, I'm never going back to that. Well, you're going to then have to be on a micro dose or low dose of this drug then for the rest of your life. And that's a hard pill to swallow, quite frankly. And I get that, and I empathize with that. And I'm not saying that it's not, but it is the truth, unfortunately. And coming off of this drug, it shouldn't feel like you're flying off of a cliff, but it does unfortunately feel like that or seem to feel like that for many people. What I want you to take away from this episode is that these medicines and medications are not evil. They are not bad, but they also aren't magic. Nothing is magic. Nothing is a quick fix. Health and wellness always requires your participation. And if you use such a powerful tool as this, you deserve a powerful plan. And if you're on these meds or you're thinking about coming off and want support that focuses on the sustainability, the muscle regrowth, and real life maintenance, that's exactly what our Life Track program is. It's a mindset based nutrition and wellness program. It is built around structure, accountability, and support without any extremes or guilt. And right now, I do have a limited number of founding member spots open, which means that you get early access, special pricing, and the chance to help shape this community from the ground up. I'm also actually taking a GLP-1 medication course at the moment. It's a CEU, so it's a continuing education unit through my National Academy of Sports Medicine, where I obtained my certifications to learn a bit more about this topic and how to best help my clients who are coming off of these medications kind of get back into the normal groove of things and keep that maintenance weight. So if this sounds like you or anything that you might be interested in, Life Track might be for you. And right now is the best time to get in at a very, very low rate. And that rate sticks for as long as you stay with us. Everything that you need will be linked in the show notes. I am so excited to get this show up and rolling. Video episodes will be coming soon, and stay tuned for our newest episode that will be dropping at the end of next week. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with anyone that might find this interesting or helpful. Let's continue this journey and build a life you love together.